Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. on the dot here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, today I want to share with you a purely hypothetical story. This is something I came up with, and I thought maybe it would make a good movie or a book or something like that. And it's just purely hypothetical, made out of my imagination. Okay, so this is a story of a 12-year-old boy going to Orlando, Florida, with his family, with his mother and his sister, to go to Walt Disney World, and they're staying in a hotel in Orlando, Florida, and it's on the ninth floor of the hotel. And they're there for a week. They're having a good time. They go to the Wet and Wild amusement park. They go to Walt Disney World, and after a long day, usually the family would come home, the three of them, the mother, the sister, and the son would come home and get some sleep, get some rest, and then maybe go out for the night for dinner or something like that. And one afternoon, the family came home from Disney World about 4 o'clock at night, and the mother laid down in the bed, the sister laid down in the bed to get a little nap, and the 12-year-old boy does what 12-year-old boys do. They wandered around the hotel, loves going up and down in the elevator like boys do, checking out the ice machine, the vending machines, the amusement room with the video games, stuff like that. And he finds the ice machine and he gets an idea. So he fills up the ice bucket with ice and he goes back to the hotel room. His mother and sister are sleeping. And he goes out on the balcony and he drops some of the ice cubes off. The room that they're in is facing the back parking lot. And down on the first floor, there's a restaurant, the first floor of the hotel. And the workers come in and out the back of the restaurant. They put out the grease and the garbage out the back. And you look down, that's where the balcony looks down to. And the young boy is doing what young boys do. Just watching the ice, dropping an ice cube off the ninth floor balcony and watching it go down, 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 and smash when it hits the pavement. And of course, he starts getting the idea, maybe some bigger things, bigger smashes when it hits the ground. So he goes back to the ice machine and he looks for bigger chunks of ice that he saw in there. Digs down deeper, and there's bigger, more frozen blocks, chunks of ice cubes that have been kind of frozen together in big chunks. He takes a big chunk and he puts it in the ice bucket, brings it back to his ninth floor hotel room. The mother and sister are still asleep on the bed. They've been asleep for maybe an hour now. He goes out on the hotel room, and in Orlando, Florida, there's downpours every afternoon in Florida. If you've ever been to Florida, there's these storms, these thunderstorms that go through for 10, 15 minutes, a half hour of just, sun will be out, then pouring rain and thunder, and then the sun will be back out again a half hour later. And when he went out on the balcony, it was one of those thunderstorms. It was about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And he takes that big chunk of ice and he leans out over the balcony railing and he drops it. And just as his hands let go, he's looking down, he's watching that big chunk of ice, that big, maybe 10-pound chunk of ice going down. And he sees a worker, all dressed in white, walk out the back door directly down underneath, 9 floors down, underneath the balcony he's standing on. He sees that big chunk of ice going down, and hits the worker right in the head, and it just explodes. He sees the ice just spray in the body, crumple to the ground. And it's pouring rain. He's looking down and he sees all this. Panics. He runs back into the room, gets on the bed, puts a pillow over his head, pretends he's sleeping, just stays there, shaking. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? And he just stays like that. He hears the family get up, start moving around, go into the bathroom. Hey, Daryl, wake up! It's time to go out to. His name might be Daryl. Time to go out to supper. He gets up, He never tells anybody about that. He goes out to supper and he more or less forgets about it. Next morning, they go down to breakfast, as they usually do in the morning. And they're sitting there eating breakfast. And mom's reading the paper. And they hear people talking in the restaurant that somebody was killed behind the restaurant the day before. They believe that somebody jumped a worker. He was hit in the head and killed. And the boy just freezes. He realizes, this is the person that got hit in the head by his chunk of ice that he dropped off the 9th floor balcony. And he starts thinking about it. It's about 90 degrees in the afternoon, pouring rain. That big chunk of ice just melted. It exploded when it hit this guy's head into little pieces, and it basically just disappeared. By the time this guy was found, there was no more chunk of ice, just the guy crumpled on the ground, dead from being hit with a big contusion, big cut on his head. And nobody ever knew how this happened. They thought that this guy was assaulted by somebody outside the restaurant, maybe for money, maybe an ex-girlfriend or some problem with gangs or something like that. They have no idea that it was a 9-year-old boy, or 12-year-old boy, dropping ice off the balcony that hit this guy in the head. This guy never tells anybody about this, but he has nightmares constantly of watching. Every night he has nightmares that a piece of ice going down and just hitting that guy, blowing up on this guy's head. He has nightmares that this guy comes up to the room with blood all over his head, pounding on the door. Just these terrible nightmares. Eventually, he starts smoking weed, starts using anything to try to get some sleep, to get rid of these nightmares, this guilt. And he goes on to become an addict. I didn't finish the rest of the story. I don't know how the story's going to end. But it's just a theoretical story. Just let me know. What do you think? Would that make a good movie, a good book? Of course, it's all just fiction, hypothetical. Have a good Thursday.